Здравствуйте, я Lily из Китая. Сегодня I would like to say a few words about my impressions of living in Russia. The city where I live, Voronezh, is located in the European part of Russia, 445 kilometers from the capital Moscow. Voronezh is the birthplace of the Russian Navy and Soviet Airborne Force. The city covers an area of 52,400 square kilometers, which is much larger than the city of Guangzhou where I live. Voronezh is divided into 6 administrative districts: Railway District, Central District, International Communist District, Lenin District, Soviet District, and Left Bank District. Voronezh is also the cradle of the Russian fleet, as it was here the King Peter the Great began construction of the first ship. The monument of Peter the Great, created in 1860 in the center of Piotrovsky Square with the donations from citizens, was also the first monument in Voronezh. The Victory Square of Voronezh and its monument was created in honor of the city's defenders. The memorial is a sculpture wall consisting of 12 personalities. This sculpture represents soldiers from various branches of the Soviet Army, like submachine gunners, pilots, tankers, marines, officers, female nurses, as well as those who stay in the rear, pregnant women, workers, or female consumer collective farmers. I love this culture and I'm obsessed with the Soviet aesthetic as well as the music. The Monument of Glory is near my apartment. Nearly 10,000 soldiers were buried here during the Great Patriotic War. Nearby, the Eternal Flame is burning, and there is an island where remains of the soldiers found by searchers after the war are buried. My favorite place in this city is still Lenin Square. In the city center, Lenin always reminds me of Chairman Mao, and it's a warm feeling. Being in a foreign country, I realized that I care so much about my country. I love it. It's strong, it's kind, it's good like the Russian people. I used to be a Beijing metal band assistant. Besides metal, I love post-punk, especially Russian post-punk. Lately, I've been listening more to Kino, Throne of Goose, Dizzy Fandom. Although I'm no longer working in the music industry, but I still love this kind of music. During my time as an assistant, I also worked as a photographer for the band. I have to say that I was really comfortable taking photos in Russia. Completely different architectural style from China, beautiful Slavic people everywhere, especially children. These colorful houses, the wonderful metro station in Moscow. Of course, there are rundown places. When I first landed at the Moscow airport, a thought just came into my mind. I was finally in the USSR. Russians shocked me in many ways. For example, I was growing up in Guangdong province. In some place where there were no traffic lights, I would always stop and wait for the cars to pass first. Before I lived in Beijing, I'm used to waiting for the green light to come on for 3 seconds before I start crossing the street. I know there are some drivers in other cities in China who would let people cross first, but unlike in Russia, crossing the street is really a very safe thing to do. At first, I didn't believe it, thinking it was just occasional. But after living for a while, I realized that it's true. The drivers here, even they driving very fast, they always stop for the passerby. It's so romantic. I used to use the word romantic to describe everything and everyone that is beautiful and good. Another thing that shocked me was that smoking is forbidden in Russian bars. This is really fantastic. I told my friends about these things in China, and they were all shocked and agreed. I wish bars in China had this rule also in one day. I used to work in a bar for 3 years, and it was a really bad working environment with all the smoke every night. A lot of people say that Russians don't like to smile. Russians seems very cold. Believe me, they just look cold. They are really warm-hearted. All the strangers I met were very kind. I remember when I was standing in the Moscow metro station waiting for my boyfriend to buy a metro ticket. A man passing by and looked at me a few times and asked me if I needed help. Just recently, I hurt my foot and was limping when I walking outside. A couple ran to me and asked if I need help. I don't know Russian. I am still learning this language. I can only understand few words, but I can probably guess the meaning. So far, I haven't met any bad people. Probably the most inconvenient part of living in Russia is not being able to use Chinese bank card or Visa card. After getting used to electronic payment in China, I really don't like to use cash. But luckily, I finally got a Russian bank card with my name on it. What also shocked me was that the milk in Russia is really good, and it's really cheap compared to milk in China. There are too many kinds of milky products and cheese products. I love cheese. I'm not one of those Chinese people who can only live on rice. I still prefer noodles, potatoes, and dumplings. As a Cantonese, one inconvenience thing is that Russian vegetables are too expensive and there are very few kinds. For a while, I even think maybe I should go to grow some greens vegetables. But after I came to Russia, stay for a while, I adjust my eating habits. I start to eat more meat, and I also start to learn how to cook Russian food. I really like Berlin, one pancake, cold soup in the summer, all kinds of salads. There is one salad made with rice and crab stick that is very interesting to me. And the classic street food, shawarma, also juice. In China, good juice is really expensive, but the juice sold in Russian markets are already very good enough. After living in Russia, I realized that I don't drink much tea anymore. But when I go back to China, I still drink hot green tea every day. People still need to go out to see the true world from time to time, and it's hard to tell whether the information on the internet is true or fake. Just as I know that my country is growing and developing very fast, I can see everywhere made in China products. This is the thing I'm very proud of. I'm certainly happy that I can often see Chinese cars on the road in Russia. I also found out that really many Russians are learning Chinese. Sometimes in the supermarkets and shopping malls, I can meet Russians who speak Chinese with me. Their Chinese is much more better than mine. Sometimes I feel guilty that my Russian is very poor, but Russian is really hard to learn. Generally speaking, I like Russian. I like to live here. I like the weather. I like the food. I hope I can learn Russian well. I hope I can travel all over the Russia, and I hope peace will come soon.